This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we are live on our Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels. And we have Blue or Blew It Up. And we talked to her before when we still have our Anchor FM audio podcast. And these video podcasts actually get translated into audio only, and they still go to Spotify, they still go to Apple and 9 other platforms. But now we're doing this thing where we're actually live. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So we've got one of your latest videos. It's a collaboration between G Mowgli. Is that how you say it?
Well, his name is Gmo, but since my name is Ballue, we thought it'd be funny if he was G Mowgli.
G Mowgli.
And Ballue. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a collaboration, and we're actually going to play this video in its entirety, which is really more like a music lyric type video, but it's not a full video. But we like to do this new thing on the video podcast. We're able to have people listen to the artist before we talk. And so we think that's a good idea, because then it gives people a good idea what the music is about before we start getting into it. So
that's cool.
That's what we're going to do. And just hold a second. We're going to get into that and start it.
I'm doing this because you just sent this shit to me. Yeah. The way that things are going real, where is all the profit? It's that nonsense. I'm here to get another docket. I'm like, fuck it. I'ma team up and see what it do. This is now giving me Nati and Ballue. This is all that we do. Hit banger after banger, heartbreaks, 808s, and I think your life in danger, my God. How the hell this become my job? Y'all just gonna have to sit back and watch. I really don't know, I'm a life out of control. Rolling up on that draw, I'm cruising up with the Volvo. I really don't know, I'm a life out of control. Rolling up on that draw, I'm cruising up with the Volvo. Yeah, I better pump it up. Yeah, I feel a little better, gonna pop the trunk. If you really wanna get it, I'ma have to dump it. Don't need to jump it. If you think that you want it, I'ma bring it up, man. And up, man, to tear it up. Yeah, the tiny shrug. Must be the beat that you want, you son. You could never really fuck you, son. I'm the best man at your girl's wedding. Best stripper on nigga melting. Don't buy anything you selling. Hit the pipe and do all the welding. I'm fly, don't you forget it. Lock niggas, you know you dread it. I'm the shit, I got this. You know that you can't stop this. It's awesome, we flossing. Don't you play a awesome. I'm here to let you figure out that a motherfucker really bossing. I got here with all the group. Lift up with you know who. About to make another beggar with the hungry balloon. It's all we do, motherfucker, you like. I'm doing great, motherfucker. Popping bottles, sipping drink, motherfucker. Another shot, we smoking dank, motherfucker. Middle finger with the gang, motherfucker. Doing great, motherfucker. Popping bottles, sipping drink, motherfucker. Another shot, we smoking dank, motherfucker. Middle finger with the gang, motherfucker. Yeah. Way to be rock, almost like a detox. Fleet ops, you don't really wanna see us. This that what we do. The gorilla of the game with the girl Ballewitup. This that bomb to that diggy big out of my city. See the beat, make it that pretty, but still make shit that sound gritty. Like what? Who the fuck? Let them pay to play the game. We not running out of patience, we just running out of lanes. Like
So we're back, and so that song, I can guess what the title is.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah, it's interesting. So let me get back into our conversation. But so you've been working on new music, and we've got another song that we can show up later. But the thing is that you were going to school before. Did you finish the school you were working on, or did that because of COVID we hadn't talked to you? What happened with all that?
I'm still in school. I've done 2 semesters so far. So,
So did that
still
yeah,
yeah.
did that change how you do the school compared to because of what happened with the pandemic?
Yeah, I'm doing everything online, which is
Everything
actually cool for me because
it works
I'm
for you?
yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, yeah. Some people like I'm a total online like character. Everything I do is totally online. So when the pandemic came, it really didn't change what I do.
Same.
Um, but like the cool thing about electronic music is that because it's like all computers and all kinds of equipment, and a lot of it is like you can do it by yourself, except when you collaborate. But even then, a lot of collaborations, I've talked to DJs and producers, and they're like worldwide. I've talked to guys working in Australia and somebody's in New York, you know.
Yeah.
So they never even met. They just did everything on the net. So is that like an issue for you? Do you need to actually be face to face when you're working with somebody, or can you do it like online?
Um, actually, all my collabs that I've done so far are all done online. So,
Okay,
but
so you never had a situation like a traditional like rock bands and stuff that where they are always like together face to face. Your
no,
all your work was more like you've been able to handle it.
pretty much. Yeah.
Maybe talk about the song "Motherfucker," right? That's the song we're at. Um,
Yeah.
so talk about how that came about, and how did you meet your collaborator, and how did you guys work together to put that together, and maybe talk about it.
Okay. Um, so I met Gmo like about a year ago, maybe. I think he randomly added me on Facebook or maybe it was Instagram. I can't remember how we met, but um, he raps obviously,
Hmm.
and he kept saying that we should collab, and I kept like basically being like, okay, yeah, but not doing anything about it. And then one day he was like, do you have anything that you've done that like you just haven't found a vocalist for? And I was like, actually. So I sent him that, and like
Oh,
a
so
few
he got
hours later he got on it and sent me back the vocals, and I was like, all right,
wow.
cool.
Wow, so you already had some tracks, and then you sent him, and then he just freestyled or had something he went to put on top of it.
Yeah. It was
Well,
pretty easy.
that's pretty cool because like I've done collaborations like that where so I had something already, and then somebody I was working with, they had some idea, and they might have heard me, and then they liked my vibe. So I guess like he liked your vibe, and he wanted to work with you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, because that's one thing. It seems like in hip hop today, people are trying to get into working with like EDM producers or working with trance and trap and guys like me who are more like old school, like progressive people. And there's a lot of kind of cross genre going on
There
where
is.
and it's cool, I guess, when you're working like the way you're doing electronic music is, you can create like totally new stuff, you know, it's like your own vision of what you want to do. So maybe talk about like what you want to do in music, like what's your goal for your sound?
Man. Um, I don't really have a good answer for that. Basically, my sound, I guess I've been told that it's not really one sound, that I just kind of do what I want. And I guess that pretty much sums it up. It
Yeah,
just
you just go with
depends, like, if I'm in the mood to make,
what you feel like.
yeah, if I'm like, okay, let's do something with hip hop, then I might hit up somebody for that. Or I just did one that, it's kind of a rock vibe, but it's
Rock
still
vibe.
EDM. But
But you
that
had like more,
one's
so when you say rock vibe, you like you're probably more like guitar or more distortion or heavier kind of heavy metal type stuff.
yeah, it's like I'd say it sounds kind of, I don't know if you'd call it alternative or, but
Oh, like
but yeah, it's got like guitars and drums and um
oh,
yeah, but it also has a lot of um synths in it too. So
So like when you put something like together, is that from doing clips, or are you actually working with like some other people to get that guitar sound?
Um, I don't know anybody that plays guitar, so I usually just use a sample I come across from somewhere.
Hmm.
That's what I did with this one. The guitars that were in Fundamentally Mental with Chance the Closer, that one, he had the guitar samples for that one, so that's
Okay.
where we got those. But
Yeah, because like today, there's so many ways to get things. You can sample, you can use synthesizers to create your own lines, because some of them can actually replicate guitars. Um,
yeah,
like a lot of the stuff I do is like I'm a frustrated guitar player. I never learned how to do it, but I know how to play keyboards. So I found ways to make my synths actually play original guitar chords and leads and stuff. And so
that's
then I
cool.
can I don't have to sample. I can just write them. But that kind of helps me with what I'm trying to do is like this kind of old school kind of inspired by bands like Yes and Genesis. So they were all over the map in terms of progressive rock. But it seems like it's cool what you're doing. It's kind of like this idea of expansive sound is because you can do hip hop, you can do rock, you could do industrial, you could do trap, you could do whatever. So you're saying like however you feel when you want to record, you just do whatever you're feeling that day.
Yeah. I listen to everything, and I don't know, I guess I never wanted to be one of those, like, I just do one thing people, so I just kinda
Yeah, yeah.
just
Cause
do
I
what I
think
want.
well, you think about EDM and there's a certain structure to it and there's the drop and you can get stuck in it. There's some people that they just okay, well, to have a hit, you stay in that formula and there's like a certain structure, and a lot of producers might be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's cool to kind of think out the box and say, "So what if we did something different?" Because I remember back in the day when I heard like De La Soul versus like Grandmaster Flash versus like Public Enemy, and they all sound different.
Yes.
Right? It's all hip hop, but it's like coming from different approaches. One is like psychedelic, one's like really kind of taking noise and doing all kinds of cool things with noises, and the other one's kind of like old school kind of DJing. Um, and so it's like there's so many different things within even hip hop. It's just weird when the people get stuck and like, well, I'm only going to do trap and I'm only going to do techno. I'm only going to do this. So you're already outside of that, which is I think that's cool as an artist because it keeps you. I think it keeps you from being like stuck in a rut,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it does, help with that.
So when you would go into school, like what type of courses are you taking for people who are into music production? Maybe you could kind of talk about like for those people who may be thinking about doing that. What are you doing on your coursework?
So far I did a class, for Ableton, which was helpful, and then, last semester I did the start of music theory, which I suck at apparently. Um, and trying to remember what else I've taken: ear training, harmony
Mhm.
classes, and
So what did you find the most useful? Was the Ableton like the most useful thing you learned, or some of the music theory stuff was kind of interesting that you could apply?
music theory stuff was interesting, but definitely I think my favorite course, um, was actually I did a DJ course, but the
Hmm.
teacher was just really cool in that class. But I mean, the Ableton class did help me learn a lot. I feel like it gave me like the basics from
Yeah, and for all those who don't understand, like Ableton is a digital audio workstation, and if you're going to be a music producer, knowing how to use your DAW is pretty important
it's so important.
because it's
Yeah,
like the difference between like making a hit and maybe but not making a hit.
pretty
Um,
much.
and then just learning how to use it. So, like, do you use it primarily for writing, or do you use it for performance too, or do you wait and do you use your DJ like a Pioneer system for doing the DJing, or how do you integrate it?
I pretty much just use Ableton to produce. For DJing, I use Tractor.
Use Tractor. Okay.
But it does. You can sync it with Ableton, which is kind of cool. But I haven't done that yet because I just haven't
Yeah,
need to.
a lot
But
of rock bands use it for like backing tracks.
yeah,
So like if you have like an alternative or indie band, even big bands will go on stage with like some type of DAW linked up with their actual like people who are managing their sound. And it's a cool way to be able to reproduce your record live, because then you can actually do what you couldn't do in the back in the day. You know, you couldn't have all your backing tracks from your master, but now you can.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I guess that would have been difficult back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, people just try to replicate it, but I kind of like the idea of just not exactly sounding like you did in the studio. So when you go to play, have you been able to play live at all?
Not really. Since the pandemic started, I did do 2 things in New York with DJ Stoon. And I've done a couple like local things, but nothing. I haven't gotten
Those
to
are
do
actual
anything.
like live shows.
Yeah.
Cool, that was cool. So, so was that a really cool experience to actually do what you do live? Did you feel like performance and writing are like 2 different things, I think, for any musician? And so, like when you go to play live, do you kind of, you know, just have fun with it, or try to, you know, stay true to what the original sound is?
I love remixing. So when I DJ, I like to mix a lot of crap together as much as I can to make it sound cool, but without making it crazy, because you don't want to get carried away. But so I say I wouldn't say I like, I don't know. I guess it's an average amount for a DJ. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
I think that it seems like DJ, and a lot of it is kind of improvisational,
Yeah.
and you could kind of stick to what you wrote, you know. But I think the fun of it is, okay, you're feeling the crowd and you start going in a direction, and you feel something and you might change it up.
Yes.
Just in the same way that a rock band, like if I'm playing, you know, my keyboards and I'm with a rock band, I'm going to go off and follow what the guitar player's doing, follow what the drummer's doing, kind of just go. And I
Yeah.
think like you guys get the feel from the crowd, kind of feeds back, right? And that kind of tells you like, okay, maybe I'm going to go in this direction, because you see what the crowd wants or what
Yeah.
they're digging, right?
Yeah.
So we know we have another song we could put up, but are you working toward just putting out like singles, or are you working toward like doing like an EP of your work or a mixtape? Like, how are you presenting your work
So
out there?
far, I have done just singles, but I actually am working on a Halloween EP right now.
Oh, wow.
It's almost finished. I've got one more song I got to finish, and I'm gonna put it out.
So it actually has a Halloween theme?
Yeah, it's just spooky songs. It's nothing like actually says anything about Halloween in it, but
It's
they're
just
eerie.
Halloween. They're eerie. It's kind of,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm the ghost, so I always like to do something on Halloween. So,
Yes.
so yeah, we go, but we're ghost all year. So Halloween's kind of like, I guess we have to step it up a notch. 'Cause but yeah, so have you been doing any like live streaming? Have you been able to do DJing like live streaming, or is it hard to do that?
I did do 2 shows, like live streamed. One of them was just a radio show, and I did do a video one.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It was easy, I guess, but I didn't like that you can't see how people are reacting to it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't I have less energy, I feel like, when I'm not in front of a crowd versus when I'm in front of people.
Yeah, I
Because
think that's a big problem. I talked to a lot of different musicians in the last year, and like rock bands especially, they're like they really need the crowd. But then like DJs too. It was like, well, I think all musicians, like it's hard to kind of get you psyched. I mean, the weird thing is like I've been doing online stuff since like 2016 before anything happened, and I just find a way to kind of get in the zone. And I'm not looking for any kind of feedback. I just get into the zone of actually the song. And
yeah.
I find if I get really into it and I kind of let go, that I don't have interaction with the crowd, then I can feel cool about it and I can kind of do a cool performance. But I get the fact that a lot of bands and a lot of artists, I think, just need, you know, especially even vocalists, they kind of need to read the crowd, or they don't really
Yeah.
feel good about what they're doing.
Well, yeah, because you don't know, like, especially with DJing, you pretty much are playing for the audience. And if you can't see if they're like, oh, this is horrible, or if they're like rocking out to it, it kind of makes it hard. Like, I miss the engagement part of it.
Yeah, it'd
Like,
be cool if there was a way to kind of gauge the immediate like likes. Like if you could pick up the likes and it would feed back into your set or something. So you hear like applause, or you hear the, not to distract you, but to see some kind of feedback to know that you're kicking it, right?
That
So
is
if
a
they
good
made
idea.
something because of the pandemic, like so many people have to do live stuff, it would be cool if there was a way to actually see, maybe even see faces of the crowd and people putting their thumbs up or something. It's like to make you know what's going on.
That would definitely be helpful, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe somebody out there think about that.
You should invent it. You should
Yeah.
invent the program.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna talk to some people
You
because I've
should.
actually talked to a bunch of bands and artists that that's their major complaint. That
It's tough.
they don't like doing online because they can't feel the crowd.
Yep.
If there's a way to make you feel the crowd, then I think more people will be willing to do it. Um, so I think that's cool. So we have another song that we have for you, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get it up. It's called "Get Wild."
Yeah.
So I'm gonna cue that up this whole second while I try to set that up. But in the meantime, it's like, so the Halloween album, when's that gonna come out? The EP? While I try to set this up.
As soon as I finish this last song, I'm gonna go ahead and distribute it. So probably, I'd say at least by October 1st, but I
Well,
want it sooner. But
you're
we'll
just
see.
working on it. You've been working hard on it.
I have worked pretty hard.
So is there any kind of new techniques that you want to talk about that you're introducing in your music, or something that's interesting in the development of that
Um,
new album?
well, I think since the last time I was on here, I was just learning, so I was not great at arranging a song. So I've gotten better at that, which
You're
is
getting
good.
better at figuring out the hook and
Like where stuff goes.
where stuff goes. It's like, okay, here's the hook and here's the drop, or here's this, So now you kind of have a good idea because you've been taking theory.
Yes.
Yeah, you can kind of apply like, okay, well, this is how you can get people to be into your song because you structure it in a certain way. Did they kind of go through like music history to teach you like different techniques, or just overall concepts?
I am doing music history this coming semester that starts like towards the end of this month.
Mhm.
But I haven't used music history yet. They haven't like brought anything other than like writing music.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. But they haven't done any of the cool stuff yet with the history.
Yeah. I mean,
Gotta
I
get
think,
the boring stuff out of the way, I guess.
yeah, I mean, it's just kind of interesting what you have to do um, to just, be out there. In an educational environment, there's so many things that are kind of traditional that probably be kind of boring to people. But I think it's there's some things that they engage a student more. And this, I don't know, like in the way the world is today, people want to, focus on Bach and Beethoven. I think it kind of makes them snore. uh,
Yeah.
but
It's
but
bad.
but then you think about like chord structures and stuff. Learning like Beatle chords, like what makes something a Beatle chord compared to like a major or minor chord. I mean, there's certain things that are kind of cool um, that I can get into. But we're gonna play your song "Get Wild" and then we'll put you on mute and we'll talk about it on the back end.
All right.
I like to party, party. I like to go out. I like to party, party. I like to get wild. I like to party, party. 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 I like to go out. I like to party, party. I like to get wild. I like to party, party. I like to go out. I like to party, party. I like to get wild. I like to party, party. I like to go out. party. I like to party party. This is how I like it. That's how I like it. I like to party party. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to go out. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party. I like to go out. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party. I like to go out. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party. This is how I like it. That's how I like it. I like to party party. This is how I like it. That's how I like it. I like to go out. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party. This is how I like it. I like to go out. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party. It's how I like it. It's how I like it. I like to go out. I like to party party. I like to get wild. I like to party party.
So that was Get Wild. So is that your voice or is that a sample?
That was a sample. It's not me.
Yeah, I was just wondering. But yeah, it's cool because sometimes people use their own voice, but so that was a sample. So so maybe can talk about like the structure of that song. Like how is that like you use an Ableton or is that how did you put that together?
That one was Ableton. That was my first song I ever made on Ableton, actually.
Wow. So did you use the soft synths and stuff there inside of it to get those really kind of heavy synth wave tones?
Yeah. Some yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I just mess with settings until it sounds cool.
Yeah, because you got some really cool kind of synth pads that are kind of gyrating in this kind of real like guttural attack, which is really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like the way you use them. So it's like you use different like effect chains and stuff to do that. You just play with it till you get what you want.
Pretty much. I just, yeah. 'Cause I still don't know like technicals on how to do a lot of stuff. So I basically just like, I'll see something and be like, what does this do? And then I just,
yeah, that's how you actually learn. I mean, all my synthesizers, like, I didn't go to Berkeley to learn how to do my synths, but like eventually, like once you own it, then you have your Moog. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to touch every dial
yeah.
and kind of go through it and say, oh, I like that, right? I remember that. I was like, oh, I like this. And so I like to kind of like with synthesizers, like there's stuff you can learn. You can go to school and say, oh, LFOs do this and envelopes do that. But there's nothing that replaces actually sitting down for like a couple hours, just playing with stuff. Would say, well, maybe I should do what they say you shouldn't do.
Yes, I do that a lot.
And like run something like backwards or upside down is like in a way that it is not the traditional way to use that capability. And then it's like, okay, we're just playing with it. To me, is like that's kind of the heart of music. Like if you just experiment and you do just like whatever feels good or whatever sounds good, right? Like whatever sounds good, you have theory and that can help you get to where you need to be. But there's like if you have your own instrument, you've got it in front of you, you got Ableton or you got some other thing, you just playing around with it can get a lot of good done. Is that the way you feel? That's how you write?
Yeah, pretty much. I just mess with stuff until I figure it out.
Yeah, until it sounds the way you want it to, right?
Yes.
But so you got the Halloween record. And so when you do the Halloween record, are you gonna try to do any kind of Halloween themed like shows or anything that are coming up, or is that because of COVID the way it is, there's still nothing like that going on?
It's really hard to do anything like that right now, especially when you're like me and you're not like huge.
Hmm.
So, like, I would love to do a show, but I don't know. I feel like things are getting stricter again, and
Yeah, it's
like,
harder to get into clubs and stuff now because like you're still having like problems. So
yeah,
I mean, what we've been doing is like I think I talked to you like in July we did a online festival where we had a bunch of the guests that were on, and we had like from the 16th to the 18th we had like 22 bands play for like 3 days, like live wherever they were,
that's
and
awesome.
they did sets, and we're actually thinking of doing it again in November. So we're doing an open invitation to anybody we interview. So November 19th through the 21st, we're gonna do another Peg Bedroom Producer Festival. So if you feel
Awesome.
you want to do something like that, everybody gets to do like a half hour set.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
So
Sounds fun.
yeah, because basically you think you just use your tractor, like especially with DJs, it's easy. It's like if you just use your DJ equipment and then feed it into StreamYard through whatever audio interface you have, it'll work. But we do tests with
Awesome.
people to make sure it works. So we do like sound checks with every band to make sure that it actually can happen. But yeah, when we get
It's
closer,
good.
if you're into it, then we can set it up, and we do promotion stuff. Like we put a poster up, and everybody that's gonna play is on the poster, and it ends up being live. It's pretty cool. So we think
Sounds
it's a cool
awesome.
thing with a lot of yeah, bands that can't play today. It's like, okay, we'll just keep on doing this bedroom producer thing. We're thinking of trying to do it 4 times a year. So this year we only gonna do it twice, but next year we're planning to do it like 4 times. And when the pandemic gets like gone, we've got
God,
some
I'm so
connections in New
ready.
York. Yeah, we got some connections in New York where we might actually be able to do a live show in New York with a bunch of bands
That's
in
fun.
multiple locations. So
It's
that's
awesome.
something we're hoping to do. So if you're into it, you can jump on the Peg train,
I'm
and
on it.
and yeah, yeah. So we think we just like to give people, like the way we can now. We just showed two of your YouTube sound videos, um, and we like to promote people who are independent artists. And we think doing the interview is cool, but then also being able to present you in a concert. We also are working on a thing that where Facebook allows you to do ticketed events and then tie them to particular artists. And we're going to actually try with a couple artists we interviewed in England a way to do a Facebook ticketed event for like $1 or 50 cents and see if we can get people to actually pay to see people online.
That would
So
be cool.
actually be yeah, so we're working on that too going into 2022. So we have a guinea pig band that's going to try it.
Love that.
It's going to be our lab experiment. They're going to try to see if they can get their fans to actually buy the tickets.
That would be
So
a fun experiment for them.
yeah, they think they can. So we'll see. So we'll try to see if we can actually do it. But yeah, it's hard to do it if you listen. You got to have a certain fan base to do it. But we think the other festival we don't charge tickets, so we want to see what kind of response we get. So if you're into that, just get in touch with us, and we're hopefully you'd want to do that, and that would be cool.
It sounds fun. I'm in. Let's do it.
That's awesome. So I think we've kind of gone through everything. Unless you want to talk to your fans about anything new you're working on or collabs that are coming out that you want to promote, maybe tell us if there's anything else you want to be talking about with your work that your fans should know.
There is a song that's not going to be on the Halloween EP. I'm not sure of the date yet because we're still waiting on labels. We've had a few offers, but we submitted to some bigger people too, so we're kind of waiting on those to tell us no or
Um,
yes, hopefully, before we pick
Oh,
which
so you
one
have
we want.
you might have a separate single from the EP for Halloween.
Yeah, it won't be for Halloween, this one, and I don't know it's finished and ready to roll, but we're just waiting to
You might
see
put it out.
who's.
Oh, you don't want it. Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to see who's
So you
going to
don't
sign
want
it.
Oh, okay. But it wouldn't come out in that time. You would give it a different time to come out so it doesn't compete with your E EP.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wouldn't be able to come out that quick anyway. Like, even if I picked a label today, they wouldn't be able to have it in by the beginning of October, probably. Because last time
Oh, it's
I
okay.
released through a label, they took like 3 months to drop my song. So it just depends, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. When you go through,
But-
yeah, when you go through a label, that might not end up until 2022 the way they are,
yeah,
from my experience.
basically,
Yeah,
they take forever.
they can take a long time, yeah, to do anything. But
Yes.
yeah, it's cool. I've had experience with some labels I've worked. I've actually done it with a Swedish label and a New York label, and we put out like an EP and we put out singles and stuff. But I always end up just doing stuff myself because I just have too much content. But
Yeah.
that's my problem. I write too much. But do you find that you write more content than what you can put out?
I did in the beginning. I have a lot of unreleased stuff right now, actually. But I don't know. The last couple months have been hard for me, like creatively. I've not been putting out or like doing as much as I was like 2 months before. But yeah.
Is it because you had to concentrate on your coursework, or you just weren't in the kind of zone? 'Cause I think as an artist, sometimes you got to be in a zone to be excited about what you're doing, and then
Yes.
like if you don't really have the energy, is it more like that you didn't have the energy to kind of push something because you weren't really there, thinking it, feeling it?
Yeah. I think it definitely wasn't school because I don't know. I think I was just like maybe depressed or just needed a break in general. So I took last semester off of school and I was like, I'm gonna create more, but I made like 3 songs during that whole like 3 months or whatever it's been since then. But I needed that break though. Like I feel like I was doing too much and now I
Mhm.
feel I'm more creative like this last couple weeks than I was the whole like few months. So yeah.
It's weird things with like creativity. I always feel that like sometimes I get this big like flood of stuff. Like I'll get all these ideas and I can like I'll have like a whole album and it'll happen like in 2 or 3 weeks, and then it will drop off. And then, well, I had that period of like 3 weeks where I just wrote like 10, 15 songs, and then it goes down to like zip.
That's
And
me.
then it's like, okay, well, so there's like, okay, I'll do more podcasts. But it's good when you have something else to do. But yeah, I think it's exciting that you're back doing stuff. I like the newest work you're doing. Your sound is really dynamic, and I think people should check it out. We're gonna
you.
include the links to the YouTube videos that we just played. So we ask everybody who listens to this program or watches it to please click on the link. There's a link tree link that's been running the whole episode. Go check it out. Check out Blue or Blew It Up. And we always ask everybody to go to YouTube, subscribe, like it, share it, playlist it. That's how you support artists. So we really think people should do that. If you're on SoundCloud or your Spotify, anywhere you are, if you have an artist you love, just don't listen. Make sure you like it. Make sure you download it. Make sure you buy it where you can buy it. That's what we do to support artists that we like. So we thank you for being on the program.
Thank you.
And well, hopefully you'll want to be part of the PEG thing. We'll talk to you about that later. And have a good night.
You too. Thank you.